An observation about adding new U.S. federal laws that tangibly affect millions of people is that they're hard to roll back and harder over time. Even when they're rolled back, states that liked the law find a way to keep some facsimile of it on a state level. And that, of course, is diversity in progress. So a lot of people want the federal government to change dramatically and to change laws and to put in these massive, massive sea change level programs. And yeah, they could be a good idea. They could be a bad idea. There's no way to find out until you see them in action for 5 to 10 or even more years, depending on what you're applying. But it's risky. It's risky because they are hard to roll back and they grow harder to roll back with time. Okay, so you can't just put a new policy in and then it goes away. The way that the system works is that a lot of laws have a rollout period. A lot of new policies have a rollout period. Some of them have an expiration, like tax cuts have an expiration in many cases, unless they're made permanent, of course. And even then, of course, they can be changed. But that gets harder and harder the more ingrained they are, and the more that states get used to the costs and the benefits. Notably the benefits, of course. They want to keep the good parts. And if somebody rolls back or gets rid of a government program that a state liked, well, yeah, they will go ahead and, thankfully, keep aspects of that program on a state level. Okay, so we're talking about the United States of America here, where you have your 50 states and they all have their own perspective and their own situation to deal with. And it's important that we allow them the freedom. I believe that the federal government, for the most part, should keep a hands-off approach with most of the states. There should be more of a leaning toward states' rights than federal government authority. That's my take on it. As in many ways a libertarian, I'm a left libertarian on the flawed political compass. So states that like the law find a way to keep some facsimile of it on a state level, and I call that diversity in progress. Diversity in progress. And it shows that our country is very diverse. It's not a monoculture. We do have the American monoculture that we are trying desperately to preserve. We are trying to preserve the Constitution. We're trying to preserve our Enlightenment. Actually, the Constitution is pre-Enlightenment era, but we're trying to maintain any Enlightenment era philosophy that is seeped in. We're trying to make sure that Supreme Court decisions are upheld and that we try to err on the side of liberty, choice, and freedom. I say that red, white, and blue are the American color values. You have red, which is justice. You have white, which is liberty. And you have blue, which is mercy. And those are very important aspects to the American way. And of course, we need to have choice. We need to have diversity. Diversity is a strength. It is not always a strength in every single case. There's good arguments. It's very context dependent, and of course analogies are bad because it's context dependent. It's very specific cases. But diversity in general is the ethos, the motto, and diversity of thought and dissent are what America was founded on. The United States was founded on when we left the tyranny of the UK back in 1776 by starting the war. So, got to be careful about applying those U.S. federal laws. It can't just be, a giant sea change. Bernie Sanders just can't jump into the government and change everything based on his rhetoric. His rhetoric is persuasive. It's smart in terms of persuasion because he is a big asker, as is AOC. This is one of the techniques that Donald Trump uses to great effect. Of course, he gets criticism from the left and from largely Democrats for making big asks and using hyperbole and maintaining directional accuracy at the expense of the small stuff, which is why he fails a lot of the fact checkers. And I say politics is a post-truth world, so hey, you deal with the conditions you're dealt.